Hands. That's it. That's the challenge right there. This video showcases how I beat Yakuza Kiwami with only rush style. There's 2 rules in play throughout this run. 1. I can only use rush style. There is an instance during the very first fight of the game where you're locked to legend stance, but that's it. And that's the tutorial. You know tutorials don't count. 2. I can't use any weapons. No guns, no brass knuckles, nothing. Last thing I gotta say is that I'm playing this on hard difficulty, and this ended up being some of the most fun I've had and the most annoyed I've been playing this game. Now, this was a very love-hate experience overall, but that's it. Time to see how it went down. Yeah, actually I'm skipping this chapter since your stats are through the roof, as this is pre-prison, pre-time skip, Universal Planet Buster, Edo Tensei Hashirama Amped Kiryu we talking about right now. Long story short, I mashed square and everyone got cooked. As soon as I get out of prison, I face Majima, and he obliterated me. I mean, I barely got any hits on this man. He didn't have to do me like that. Anyway, next is punk ass Abe, and yes, that's his name. It was kinda easy, but I mean, he didn't flinch no matter what I threw at him, and for some reason, he has an armored guard break. It concerns me a little bit that somebody named punk ass Abe is giving me hands, but we keep it pushing. Finally, it's the Stardust fight, and here I try to clear out the crowd with my light heavy combo, aka my 1-2 special. Once it's just me and the mini boss left, me, Yuya, and Kazuki just straight up jumped this man. There was no escaping out of that one. It was a GG for him. Dealing with the crowds wasn't too hard once again. With my 1-2 strat, Majima would eventually show up, but he got dealt with quick. I put him in that rush style schmicks, and it was raps. Now Shimano, oh my goodness. This walking thumb took 67 years to beat. I mean, there was no knocking him down or getting any crazy damage. I just had to bait his attacks, run in circles like a jackass, and get some hits whenever I could. I didn't have the extreme heat action for Rush either, so he would just regenerate all his health while I desperately hit him with my pillow fist. By the time I gave in and bought the heat action upgrade, he never gave me a chance to use it. How convenient. After 5 more years pass, he finally goes down, and now I'm more worried about what's to come. Yeah, I'm starting to see a real big pattern right now. 1-2 strat clears up the crowds, and then a mini boss just gives me hell. After going through the motions with my garbage damage output, I clear up the crowd and get to focus on the boss of this chapter, Hiroshi. Now, he wasn't as tanky as Shimano, but he hits harder, he's faster, and he has a low sweep, and he has a beast style. Wait a minute, I know damn well Miss Tatsu ain't teach him that. The fight wasn't nothing I couldn't handle, even with the health regeneration, so all in all, it wasn't too bad. It's time for the Coliseum fights, and first up is the nastiest Stone Cold and Big Show fusion I have ever seen in my life. He gets thrown in the garbage rather quickly, but the next guy was a different story. In fact, I got thrown in the garbage this time. Why is he that fast? Why does he get instant recovery after a flying knee? Why am I doing this to myself? These are all questions that don't have reasonable answers. Anywho, I beat him with another attempt, and now I gotta face Gary Buster Holmes. Next time I do good for the most part until he German suplexes me and I suffer a career-ending injury. The next time I try, I get my face permanently caved in. One more attempt and I finally weather the storm and beat 10-tail Bankai Potential Unleashed Gary Buster Holmes. Next up is Majima. It's starting to get out of hand now. After trying my best to avoid this man while taking out his lackeys, I just try to focus on catching him in a rush style loop. Yeah, never mind that, he regenerates all his health back and render my loop useless. Then he switches to slugger style just to cap me. I try once again, and this time my execution and health management improves enough to carry me to the promised land. I thought the Shimano fight was long, but this was even longer. And it was even worse, because Majima's speed, damage, and health are all through the roof. And to start this chapter off, Takashi was a joke, but B-King on the other hand was about as painful to deal with as all the other group fights has been. Also, the heat action you can get when an opponent gets stunned gotta be the worst heat action of all time. You get like 2 damage off of it. After this is another group battle, and this time it's even worse because the mini boss has a knife and armor. My only hope here was to trap him in a corner and pray I outspeed him with my hands, and it ended up working. Wanna know what's after those two group fights? Take a guess. Go ahead. It's another group fight and a mini boss with the knife this time. Oh wow, whoa. This time I focused on the knife guy first and handled everyone else second. After this, the final fight is... Why is this chapter nothing but group fights and knives? Why the armor? Why? Who did this to me? Oh wait, I did this to me. Man, look, after getting shanked several times, me and Dante eventually cleared the crowd and handled Shota. Which Shota does a surprising amount of damage for someone whose moveset isn't that flashy whatsoever. But I mean, it checks out because he is literally slicing and dicing you to death. So I can see how that could hurt, you know? It's another group fight. And this time, instead of one guy having a knife, damn near everybody got a gun. And they don't drop their guns either. You can imagine how enjoyable this was to play with only rush style. I tried to focus on the mini boss first, but that won't cut it. So I took out the weaker ones first and then struggled my way to a W. Shout out to the damage weaving upgrade, by the way. Next up is the gambling hall fight, and there's no weapons thankfully, but there's two enemies with mad health, and I was suffering. After that, it's the Serena fight, which went unexpectedly smooth. Partially because of how small the building is, which ended up working to my advantage. It was a lot easier to trap the enemies in a corner and land touch of death combos. Following this is a boss fight that scared me when I initially saw it, but then ended up not being that bad. Once again, the small area worked to my advantage. The swords didn't bother me much at all, but the armored mini boss with literal sword mix-ups caused me a little bit of trouble. Regardless, he still got caught in the rush loops, and I even got to use my extreme heat action for once. Why do they always give the one with the most health both armor and a weapon? This time for the group fight, it's a taser. And while it was annoying to be instantly stunned and knocked down 24/7, it was pretty easy because there was only two other enemies to deal with. After this, you fight Shiraki and his goons, which, side note, bro is like 6'7". His big ass need to be getting some rebounds on the NBA court, but instead he here cheesing me with big damage. Luckily he doesn't use a weapon, so I get a chance to actually use my heat actions, which require my opponent to attempt punching me. Shout out to the essence of crushing actually working. I still don't get much damage from them, but it's better than nothing, and it helps me get past it, man. Now, to end the chapter is by far the most annoying and the hardest boss fight I've had to deal with so far. Before you can even fight the two bosses, there's a crowd surrounding them. So you gotta get rid of them first. Once you get them out of the way, now you gotta deal with one boss that spams grabs and shotgun drop kicks like he's King from Tekken, and another one that spams breaker style moves. He wanted to be Majima so bad. So the strat I ended up using to take them out was a combination of running around, literally, using my charged kick upgrade, and essence of crushing heat action. I ended up getting rid of the bigger bone one first because he wasn't on the floor going stupid, going crazy. I could actually hit him. He had a feasible hitbox to hit. With him gone, I got to just focus on the smaller one, and he actually let me use my extreme heat action, so that made his part of the fight go by a lot quicker. Alright, so look, before I say anything else, I gotta say, the charged kick is the MVP of the rush style by far. This one move gives me so much needed damage and knockdown potential that I just always felt like I missed while using this style. It even has a little bit of armor to tank the weaker attacks too. I'm clearing out crowds so much easier and efficiently. Now once I get to the boss, I get thrown off by his weapons, his defense at first. Eventually he starts to drop his guard even more throughout his next two phases, which leads to me giving excellent hands. I'm talking loops, combos, good damage, all of that. After this was the car chase, and it's really crazy how much harder this is on Legend compared to hard. But nothing much to say here, it went smooth for the most part. Would have definitely done if it was Legend though, cause the damage I took, oh yeah, I would have been capped. Not even gonna lie to you, fellas was getting cooked left and right in this section of the game. The lead up to the boss was free. The boss for this chapter is Kazuto, and he wanna be Dante from DMC so bad. This might be the most fun I've had with any boss in any Yakuza game so far. It's a crazy thing to say, but just listen to me. After I cleared out the bums, the game turned into a DBZ battle. I mean, look at this movement. It was just a high-speed anime battle at that point. But yeah, this one way better than I thought it ever would, honestly. Skipping some of the more relevant battles, the first really important one is the Dojima family battle. The weaker enemies weren't anything special like usual, but the boss was a bum too. He just had an extreme amount of health. Though this was the case, this turned out to be another part of the game that turned out to be fun. Me and Majima were just speeding around this man and jumping him into oblivion. Like, it was looking like that fight from Jujutsu Kaisen with Todo and Itadori. Like, this man was just getting fried. He had zero chance. Even with this cheap instant wake up, shoot 2 bullet tech, he still got washed. After this is another high speed anime battle, and it's amazing, I'm not gonna lie. These really fast paced battles with rush style going back and forth with another equally fast opponent is crazy. This time it's against Majima, and the fight itself isn't too difficult with how upgraded my rush style is by this point. The second phase of the fight just go hard. I mean, you can't even really see Kiryu or Majima for real. You just see their auras just dashing back and forth through the darkness, just giving hands back and forth. Shout out to Majima for this fight. Just shout out Majima in general. Yeah, the Shimano family battle is where the fun ended. I had little to no heals and all the enemies had weapons and damage. I got shot, stabbed, exploded. They were unfortunately on demon timing. In other words, they capped me. I tried again. I made sure to get rid of the chainsaw man first and then try my best not to die with the 200 enemies surrounding me. And I eventually got out of it thanks to some heat actions. The Shimano boss fight didn't go any better on the first go around, as I got washed due to the same issues previously mentioned. And to make things worse, you know, remember I have no heals still. Second go around, I have to resort to dodging all over the place in order to build up heat and then pick off each enemy one by one using the essence of crushing. The whole time I'm doing this, I gotta make sure I'm as far away from Shimano as possible because he's swinging that sword in every direction. He's just reckless. I don't want to take a hit from that. So after slowly picking off everyone one by one, now it's finally time just to focus on Shimano. Here I could have used the same strat of just using the essence of crushing, but I was afraid of messing up the timing because my health was already low. I just wanted to take zero chances. I wanted to play as safe as possible. I would try to bait out his attacks to the best of my ability, even if they do hit me, because for some reason he gains a janky ass hitbox during his second phase, and now he can hit you from various angles that he just wasn't able to beforehand. Thankfully though, his extreme heat action prompt was for rush style, which pretty much helped me tremendously. I mean, the fight would have took 27 more years if that wasn't the case. But after 1,000 punches and 2,000 dodges, he finally goes down. You know, I was gonna talk about some of the waves of enemies leading up to the Jingu section, but that pales in comparison to what I'm about to show you. Even the section where there's 20 enemies and they literally all have guns, it's even worse than that somehow. At least there I had the chance to just isolate some of the enemies and just pray I can get my combos off without getting shot or knocked down by just someone or something. Even if I had to deal with 2 fast, fully armored enemies. But Jingu's boss fight plus this challenge is without a doubt the worst thing I played in this game. You have 3 enemies. All 3 enemies have guns. All 3 of them will not hesitate to cap your shit as soon as you start a combo. And due to how long the stun animation is when Kiryu gets shot, they get an extra 1 or 2 bullets. Or better yet, Jingu throws a bomb on top of those 2 bullets that you just got shot with. Jingu, the main boss, runs away from you every chance he gets, sits back and will shoot and throw literal bombs at you whenever he feels like it. His 2 personal SWAT team members are from hell. They cannot get knocked down, they have fast evasion, and they have great damage. I died at this section twice, and quite frankly, I knew I couldn't just do this just raw dog, no gear. So I reloaded the previous save. I went ahead, sold off some weapons I got throughout the playthrough, and ended up buying some bullet resistant armor and a bullet resistant accessory. So coming back with the armor and accessory piece, the first phase was a lot more doable. and I took far less damage from the bullets, and I no longer fell in slow motion after getting shot, which I didn't even know was a thing in this game, that you could change the animation of you getting attacked thanks to gear and accessory pieces. Though this was the case, my strat here was still just to pray for opportunity to use charge kick, and that's it. So I mean, charge kick is like my only source of big consistent damage. After this phase, there's a second phase that I completely forgot about, but the SWAT members now wield knives and have even crazier movement, and the strat here was the exact same. So after going through the pain of the first phase over again, except now with less guns, it was now down to Jingu, and the fight became easy because he no longer had his two Captain America super soldiers guarding him. After dealing with all of that, it was time for Nishikiyama, and he was easy. He was pretty easy actually. Getting to use my style meant for one-on-one combat in a one-on-one battle felt good after all the pain I had to experience with Jingu. I really didn't do anything special here, just use rush loops and charge kicks like I've been doing throughout the playthrough. Only thing of note here really is the fact that his extreme heat action prompt is for dragon style, not rush style, so you know, he just casually regenerate an entire health bar sometimes when he felt like it, but I mean, that's about it. But yeah, with that, Nishikiyama is no round browned and the run is over.